10 after 2 is the time. Welcome to the show that we call The Pulse. If you just joined us, this is the last hour. I'm about to step down just a few more minutes before I make my way out of here. But as usual, being a Wednesday, we get our weekly dose of inspiration. We get Jonah Mugoshi to join us to inspire us to be the best versions of ourselves. Remember, no one can be a better you than you. So if you feel like you can't make it, if you feel like you've had too many setbacks in your life and you don't know how to pick yourself up, this is the show for you. As well, do ensure that you tell others that might just miss it out, that every Wednesday we get to do this. We get our weekly dose of inspiration. Sometimes we need a wake-up call. So I think Jonah brings that to our attention. He gives us a wake-up call at times. But before we get into the business of the hour, we have this battle between Jonah and myself. What happens is that he drops a snippet, I drop a snippet. You get to vote for the song that you want to hear from start to end. So I want to just drop a snippet of 2 songs here. Then you get to vote for the song that you'd rather hear from start to end between the two. So the number is 0719 100 404, 0719 100 404. Vote for the song that you'd rather hear from start to end between the 2 snippets that I would drop just now. I won't tell you which song ya Glenda and the EP. I won't tell you which song ya Jonah and the EP. But we will find out later which is which. All I want from you is your vote. Which one would you rather hear from start to end between the snippets that I'm about to drop? 0719 100 404, 0719 100 404. That is my number. In just a bit, he will be joining me. That's at Jonah Mungoshi, to help us be better versions of ourselves. So we need that inspiration every now and again. So he gives this to us every Wednesday. So let's get into it. I'll play the snippet and then we get into the business of the hour.
So because you know the covered and the momira di no ramandiri forward and the merure and the likene makawati the tori mo die hard.
Well, blessed be to the Most High, Jah Rastafari. It's dinner upon the case and dosing for Capitalk 100.4 FM, saying who's a kanganwe chirangano chedu. Boom.
So there you have it. That is our battle between Jonah and myself. The battle is between Moyo Wangu Dzikama, Killer T, and Enzo Aisho Ehe. Which one would you rather hear from start to end between the 2 snippets? Get voting. The number is 0719 100 404, 0719 100 404. Tell me, which one would you want us to play from start to end between Ehe, Enzo Aisho, and Killer T? Between those 2 songs, which one would you rather hear from start to end? 0719 100 404, 0719 100 404. Do vote for the song that you'd want to hear from start to end between the 2 snippets, and you need to start voting now. But right now, time for Jonah to do his thing, and let's get our weekly dose of inspiration. Jonah, take it away.
Depending on your response, your setback can be a setup for your comeback. Are you facing a crisis right now in your life? Perhaps problems so big, so serious, that you're starting to question your worth as a human being. Maybe it's a catastrophe. All you are seeing is destruction. All that you have built, all that you have dreamt of achieving is falling to pieces. It has been completely destroyed. And brick by brick, you are having to start afresh. This, my dear friend, is a setback. And sad but true, almost every single one of us will experience a setback at some point or the other in our lives. Hello, Welcome to the Half Hour with Jonah Mungoshi, and today we are talking about how to use a setback as a setup for a comeback. I invite you to travel back in time. Think about your life. Think about those blissful moments that we can classify as positive turning points in your life. When you achieved breakthrough success. When you achieved such radical success that your life started to move in a different direction positively. There's a very high probability when you analyze it that at least one of your breakthroughs was preceded by a crisis. In other words, there's a very high chance that a crisis ushered into your life one of the breakthroughs that you experienced. For this reason, we say that a crisis is too valuable an opportunity to miss. Don't waste your crisis. Let me explain further. 3 further reasons why a crisis is too valuable an opportunity to miss. 1 is habits. We are all creatures of habits, but some of us are prisoners of habits. Others are even slaves of habits. We keep getting undesirable results as a result of our thoughts and our actions, but we just don't have the drive, the push, the impetus, the motivation to break away from those habits. Well, guess what? A crisis will do that for you. A setback that's serious enough will slap you so hard that you will be in a do or die situation, and you'll have no option but to re-examine and change your habits. Number 2 reason why I say a crisis is too valuable an opportunity to miss is breakthrough. Let's look at the break part of the breakthrough of the word breakthrough. In order for you to build a new structure, maybe a new house, different architecture, different design in the same space in you have to break down the old edifice, the old structure that is there. But guess what? Most of us are so attached to the familiar, we can't break down the old. We just don't have the courage. For some of us, it's not an option we can even conceive. So we are stuck with our old mindsets, with our old prejudices, with our old assumptions, with our old ways of looking at things from the same old perspective. When a crisis occurs, when the setback is severe enough, it breaks down the old you. It breaks down your old ways of thinking, of acting, of behaving. And as a result, you have got an opportunity to come up with a new design, new architecture, and build yourself afresh, even acquire skills you didn't have before. And that's when you are using that setback as a setup for a comeback. The third reason why I say a crisis is too valuable an opportunity to miss is awakening. Most of us are asleep to those aspects of life that we have not been exposed to. We look at life from the same old point of view, from the same old perspective. We are like a horse with blinkers. And as a result of that, we've got this tunnel vision where we are in our comfort zone and doing things, looking at things exactly the same way we've always been doing. Well, guess what? The crisis will strike you so bad that it will forcibly remove those blinkers that are forcing you to just look at things from one perspective. It will awaken you to different opportunities and possibilities. And that, my friend, is something you can ride on if you'd like to use your setback as a setup for your comeback. So you want to know how exactly you can do this? I'm happy to share with you 9 steps for using your setback as a setup for your comeback. So stay locked in, stay tuned, and on the other side, I will share with you how you can use your setback as a setup for your comeback.
Wow, as usual, deep. You're talking about not wasting a crisis here. Jonah, before we get into this, just hold on to the line. Let's just take a bit of an ad break. 20 minutes after 2 o'clock. Welcome to Half Hour with Jonah Mungoshi. And today he's talking about something that is deep. And I know a lot of people can relate to this one. Using a setback as a setup for a comeback. So let's do this after this. Keep it 100.4 FM. Don't touch the dial.
DSTV has your perfect TV match. If you know your flambe from your saute, we're serving up some
Yummy.
If high-octane dockies are more your speed, get in the driver's seat Are you all about that drama? We'll bring it from the courtroom to the emergency room for a serious series dose. Because with a fresh new lineup of the best TV, no matter what you're into, DSTV has your perfect TV match. So get connected and stay connected to DSTV. This is your TV moment.
Thank you so much for choosing us. Thank you so much for staying at 100.4 FM, keeping it where it's at. It's great to have you on the show. Welcome to Half Hour Jonah Mngoshi. We're in a segment that kind of helps us to get out of our comfort zone, and maybe some really need this wake-up call. Jonah, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely well. Now, you speak about not wasting a crisis. You also said there's prisoners of habits. I wanted to say most of us, because I'm also part of the, these people that we feel like we're prisoners of habits. Now that you've actually spoken about it, and I don't want to be one of those people. But I spoke to someone last week before you speak to us about the 9 steps that we need to unpack today. I spoke to someone last week, Jonah. They lost their job. And they were saying, and it's been a year, they're sending CVs, no response. And the ndoto buda landlord vabuda. I'm thinking kuti jena, ano buda landlord vabuda kuti vasamono kuti aripo landlord vanenge vachikufunga kuti apo but singazoti azvionekere kuti munhu ari padeni. But because I think they're failing to meet their monthly obligations, pamwe landlord vari kutongoziziva vari kutongonyararo chingoziti zviwana vanhu toita sei. But here's a guy who's like, you know what, I don't even know where to start. And you're speaking about the crisis not being severe enough here. And if it was severe enough, you change your habits, you say?
The very first statement I made is that depending on your response, a crisis can be a setup for a comeback. So what makes the difference is how you respond to it. And when I concluded that initial 5-minute clip, I said that somewhere towards the end, I said what makes a difference between the crisis becoming your death sentence or your setup for a comeback is your response. So the response has got all the power. All the power lies in the response. There's a gentleman who was incarcerated, put in prison during the Second World War. He was Jewish. Viktor Frankl, he was a doctor. And during that time when he was in the concentration camp where many of his family members, friends, colleagues, and fellow Jews were killed, he discovered something that he calls ultimate freedom. And he says ultimate freedom is the gap between stimulus and response. So whatever happens to you, whether you acknowledge it or not, there is a gap that is presented for you to respond. And that response makes a world of difference. So coming back to the gentleman, Arguti is a landlord. I would like him to stay locked in and listen to step number 3 that I'll be sharing. It talks directly to his situation. He should listen to step number 3.
Nice one. All right, so let's jump into it already. Let's talk about the 9 steps that we need to unpack today.
Fantastic. Let's take it up from where we left off last week. Last week, I mostly concentrated on dealing with the grief of a crisis. And we looked at the 5 stages of grieving, like denial is the first one, and then anger, and then bargaining, and then depression, and finally acceptance. So that's where we're starting from. And now we are looking at the process of recovery. So step number 1 is kind of related to the 5 stages. It's let it out. So you cannot really move on unless and until you have dealt with emotional, spiritual, grieving part of you. And it's important to give it time and to let that process unfold. So here I'm looking at addressing your emotional side because you are broken. You have received a big slap from the universe, or maybe from results of your own actions or inactions. So you need to recover. Letting it out is finding a healthy channel of letting those feelings that are trapped within you get out. So you could talk to a counselor, you could meditate, you could pray about it, you could, some people find that when they channel that emotion through physical activity, just working out, it can help deal with it. But whatever it is, you need to deal with it. I think one of the worst things you could do is to bottle it up, or worse still, to pretend that it's not affecting you and you're okay. No, you're not okay. And sooner or later, it'll find a channel through which those built-up emotions, that feeling of being let down, that feeling of I didn't deserve this, that feeling of life is so unfair, will find a way of escaping from you. So you need to find a healthy way of expressing those feelings. And as you express them, you're like emptying the poison that is built in within you simply as a result of what has happened to you and how you have framed it in your mind. So I don't know if that's clear. You need to let it out. That's step number one.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on. Step number two, you need to win the inner war. Winning the inner war is about addressing your thinking about your situation. As I mentioned last week, worry exists nowhere except in your mind. And your mind, if you choose to, if you are trained for it, if you train yourself, you can control your mind. You can choose the thoughts that you want to think. So here we are looking at doing things such as asking yourself power questions. There are power questions that I normally ask myself, such as, what am I excited about? When I think about what I am excited about, I start feeling excited. When I think about what am I looking forward to, I start feeling, optimistic about the future. I'm looking forward to something, because if there's nothing to look forward to, gosh, why should I even wake up in the morning and look at the sun? So you could ask yourself questions such as, what lessons am I getting from this experience? How will this experience help me in future? Who would benefit from me sharing my journey out of this crisis and to recovery? You might even want to think about, who can I assist? Who can I help who's also facing a challenge? That's very therapeutic. You can help somebody else who's sharing, who's facing a challenge, maybe a similar or a different challenge, but it takes the focus away from your pain, and it gives you a channel to express the natural, God-given empathy we have for other people. And finally, on this, winning the inner war, I recommend the gratitude therapy strongly, where you sit down and just write what you're grateful for. You express that gratitude. You express it in prayer, you express it to other people. It starts the process slowly of getting you to win the inner war. So that is step number two, win the inner war. We together so far?
Absolutely. I'm following. And I think a lot of us lose the battle, especially when you're talking about winning the inner war. There's a battle that happens inside you. If you lose it, I understand where you're coming from. So, let's move on to step number three.
Step number three, stop thinking. Stop thinking. A lot of us think because we are trying to give an impression to the rest of the world that things are really okay, I'm fine. So you are spending money that you don't have, buying things that you don't need to continue to impress people you don't even like. So you need to get real. Face the fact. If it's a financial challenge that you have encountered, then do what you can afford. As my friend Atamara would say, you might not be able to afford that iPhone for now. It's not forever, it's for now. If you are renting and you can't even pay landlord the rent and you're buying an iPhone, I would say unopenga. So get real. On a serious note, get real. Face the fact and adjust your lifestyle to suit, because you don't want your debt to be increasing. You need to learn, you need to change. So stopping thinking is very tough, but it's making those tough decisions. Maybe it's a financial blow you have suffered and you had kids in a private school. It's time you look at it and say, if I go on the way I'm doing, with the funds I don't have or the little funds I have getting used up, how many months will it take before I completely sink? How can I extend that period? So it calls for very tough decisions, and it calls for you to avoid trying to impress the Joneses and trying to put up an appearance. I'm not saying go around wearing your heart on your shoulder and showing everybody, I'm in trouble. No, but I'm saying don't try and spend money that you don't have to create an impression. Stop thinking. That's number three.
All right. I have a feeling that you're related to Arthur Marara, but it's all right. It's okay.
No, he's my good friend. He's my good buddy. And we're in the same space. Eh?
Blunt. You're blunt and you speak the truth. All right. So let's move on. What's the next step?
Step number 4 is organize, don't agonize. Organize, don't agonize. Yes, it's good to cry. Even if you're a man, you can cry if it feels like it. Maybe not in public, but you can cry. You can agonize. You can feel the pain. That's what we've been doing since step number 1. but you get to a point where you now need to plan to say, what is the most realistic way of getting out of this pit that I'm in? If I am sending CVs and I'm not even getting any response, does it make sense to continue to send CVs, or do I need to look at other options? That's part of organizing. You are now saying, realistically, what are the things that I could do that will ensure that, or that will at least, not even ensure, because there's no assurance, at least I start getting out of this rut that I'm in. So maybe you're looking, if it's a financial issue, I keep going to finances because it's such a big problem to so many people. And recently I noticed that there's been a carnage in the banking sector where people were working one day, the next morning you wake up and you no longer have a job. So you need to organize, and you can look at your assets. What is the knowledge that I possess that is marketable? What are the skills that I possess that are marketable? You cannot eat your ego. So it might mean even talking to some people that you see have got some formula or have got a way of making things work, and say, really, listen, I need your assistance, I need your help, even if it's only knowledge, advice, ideas that you can give me. But start organizing instead of just agonizing. That is step number 4. Step number 5, I'm not sure how I'm doing on time. Let me see.
I think we're doing all right.
We're doing okay, right?
Yeah.
So let me move on, and I finish the steps and then we'll discuss. Step number 5 is keep positive company. It's very difficult for you to continue to win the inner war or to fly like an eagle when you're hanging out in the mud with frogs. So you need to really look at your company. Are they people who affirm you? Are they people who are encouraging you, who are reinforcing your positivity, who are giving you ideas that will help you turn around your situations, who are aiding in your recovery? So you need to be very careful. You need to go on a diet and remove from your environment toxic people who bring out the worst in you. I think even if somebody is highly successful but they bring out the worst in you, that is not the company you want to keep. Because the last thing you want, if you are recovering from a crisis, from a setback, the last thing you want is somebody who keeps putting you back in that place. Maybe it's because they want to feel better than you, because there are people who get a kick out of comparing themselves, and they're like, but in the meantime, you look at their face, the expression on the face, the tone of their voice. It's like they're celebrating that, gosh, I'm glad it's not me and it's this person who is in this position. So step number 5, you need to keep positive company. Step number 6, take action. Take action, even if it's small actions. I've even said at times, if you can't get a job, it might be easy, it might be better to volunteer somewhere where you're getting an allowance for your bus fare rather than just sitting at home and worrying. Because as they say, an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So even if you start with baby steps, it's much better to take baby steps and start moving forward than to remain stationary, or worse still, to be going backwards. So take action. We've already said you need to organize in step number 4 instead of agonizing. As you organize, identify practical actions you can start with, and don't get too ambitious. I know somebody who was aiming to make $10,000 a month, and I spoke to them and I said, have you ever made $5,000 a month? He said no. I said, have you ever made $2,000 a month? He said no. I said, what's the highest you have made? He said 500. I said, start by aiming for 1,000. Aim for 1,000. When you get to 1,000, then aim for 2,000, etc. But start with baby steps. Step number 6 is take action. Step number 7, celebrate your successes. Nothing succeeds like success. Remember, you're in a constant tug of war with forces of negativity that affect your mindset as you think about what has happened to you and the loss you have suffered, and the questions, why is this happening to me and not to other people? And I know people who are much worse than I am. I'm a prayerful person. I'm a nice person. Why is it happening? So that battle happening in your mind requires you to constantly feed yourself with motivation. Celebrating your successes, no matter how small, even giving yourself small rewards for what you've managed to do. Maybe you set a goal to take action and do A, B, C, D, and you've managed to do A, B, C, D on time. Yeah, have a victory lap, celebrate, because that is training your mind to believe in yourself again, to believe you can do it. So that is number 7. Number 8, find your bliss. You might be doing work that you don't enjoy as you try to recover. You might engage in activities that are not pretty in terms of maybe the image that you have, or in terms of, the position that you hold yourself in society, but to find your bliss, at least give yourself moments to do the little things you enjoy. They don't have to be things, or they shouldn't be things that are expensive, that will spend money that you don't have, but fill your day. At least find moments in your day when you find your bliss, when you do work that makes you feel good about yourself, when you engage in activities that inspire you, that motivate you, and that bring out the bliss in you, that bring out the happiness in you. And finally, number 7, you need to personally improve. And I call this personal kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese term for continuous improvement, and it actually involves a process of setting small steps of improvement continuously, taking action, and then reflecting. And I want to underscore the importance of reflection. So even going back to our friend Arkuti is a landlord, you need to sit and reflect on your actions. Think about, what actions am I taking? Where are they leading me? And where am I likely to be tomorrow continuing with these actions? So Kaizen is step-by-step improvement, small steps at a time. You plan, you act, and then you reflect. As you reflect, learning occurs, because you're looking at what has worked, what hasn't worked, what do I need to change, what do I need to keep, what do I need to throw away, what do I need to intensify. So those are the 9 steps that I have for you.
Beautiful. But you have spoken about 9 steps here, but I think for me the biggest one would be the battle that we always have, winning that inner war, winning that inner battle. For me, if we fail to win that, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like that is the biggest one there.
Yeah, it is very important. I'm not sure I can say it's the biggest one, but it does precede the rest of the steps that follow, because thought precedes action. Mm-hmm. So your thinking will determine whatever action you are going to take. And if your thinking is not right, then it will not support actions that will get you out of your crisis. So it is of utmost importance. I remember reading somewhere that the biggest battles in the universe are fought within the cold chambers of the soul. The biggest battles in the universe are fought within the cold chambers of your soul.
That is so deep and so real. But basically what we're saying, our response, whatever way we look at it, has all the power. How we respond, and all starts in the mind as well. Wow. That is so deep. 0719-100-404. Do share your thoughts. There you have it. Joanna Mngosha giving us a bit of inspiration, our weekly dose of inspiration, and it's talking about using a setback as a setup for a comeback. Have you been inspired? Any questions you might have, do join us on 0719-100-404. Someone says, Hans, so a crisis can turn out to be a step to a comeback. Novati deep. So that's someone coming through on our WhatsApp platform as well. Someone saying, wow, I'd love the audio that you played earlier as well. So I know you will be sharing that with us a little later. What else do people need to understand really around this very issue, Jonah?
I think let me just go back to step number 4. Mm-hmm. We are living in a society where I would say, accelerated by social media, we are playing to the gallery. And I would like to urge people not to make themselves play things of the ignorant by trying really hard to give a facade of what they are not. Particularly when, in fact, whether things are going well or not, I have always found it really a quality of people that I think are majoring on minor things to focus and concentrate on trying to create an impression. There was a television program many years ago. You were probably not yet born. It was called Keeping Up Appearance.
I know it. Sorry.
Yeah, you know it. Okay.
You actually think I'm the... Oh, I know that one. All right, but go on.
Keeping Up Appearances. And it's, when you think about it, it's actually ridiculous, the extent to which we go and worry about what we think people are thinking of when we think they are thinking of us. It reminds me of a video clip of Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean, when he went to the beach. And there wasn't any place for him to change into his swimming clothes. So he had to undress right there by the beach. And there was a gentleman seated on a deck chair, and in dark glasses. And Mr. Bean went to extraordinary extents to take off his underclothes without removing the clothes he was wearing, only to find at the end that the person who had been seated on the chair was actually blind, couldn't see.
Oh, man.
And we go to so much effort to try and paint a certain picture. So I say we need to disabuse ourselves of that. It is difficult because it's the mindset that is certain. It is the fashion. It is what everybody else is doing. But particularly in a crisis situation, it can actually kill you. And I mean kill as in literally killing you.
All right. I remember I had a conversation with Mono Mukundu the other day, and we're talking about the industry, the entertainment industry, the pressure that comes with being in this space where others are actually borrowing, they're in debt just to try to keep up an appearance. But I know depression kicks in. Things are just not adding up. So you speak truth here, and I think a lot of people are living such a life. It's sad though, but like you're saying, Gutijo, we need to stop thinking, avoid putting up appearances, and unongoita zviri kuita panguva iyoyo, understand kuti ndo situation yandiri, adjust and organize, not agonize, and let's keep moving.
Definitely. The other thing about stopping thinking is that you are expending a lot of energy, time, and effort into putting lipstick on a pig, right? Whereas if you were actually spending that time organizing, coming up with actual real plans of something that is workable, researching on what is likely to work and get you out of your situation, relating, engaging, building relationships with the right kind of company, the positive company that I spoke about, that will be time better spent because you're spending it in a way that is likely to be sustainable. You are planting today what you can harvest tomorrow. But if you spend that time just keeping up appearances, it's highly unlikely, except in certain exceptional circumstances, it's highly unlikely that you are planting and it will yield fruits in future. In most cases, it's not sustainable, and sooner or later reality will catch up with you.
Reality always seems to catch up. We have run out of time, Jonah. It was great having you on the show. Let's do this again next week, same time. And how do people get in touch with you? How do people follow you?
Fantastic. If you would like to receive a transcript of this audio, and indeed the first audio we started off with, send your name via WhatsApp to 0775 190 718. I will repeat that number, 0775 190 718, and you'll receive a transcript of the audio as well as the audio, the first 5-minute audio that I sent. Otherwise, please make sure that whether or not you have a crisis, you are responding appropriately. And if you have a crisis, make sure you use the steps I've given you to make that setback a setup for a comeback.
Nice one, Jonah. So as usual, you and I, we battle. We get to drop 2 snippets. People vote for the song that they'd rather hear from start to end. The battle today was between Enzo Aisho and Killer T, Moyo Wangu Dzikama. And I'm proud to say that today I take it away. Yes, yes. But okay. Jonah, tell us.
He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day.
True that. But why here for you? I'll tell you why I chose Moyo Wangu Dzikama.
Yeah, tell me.
All right, the reason I chose Moyo Wangu Dzikama is I think around issues that achitaura sometimes what the heart wants, sometimes it can't get, because situation is kuvuma at that particular moment in time. You need to adjust and also pressurize when it needs to around you, because no gonna hang around people fire, and you want to be at that level, but at that particular moment and sometimes you need to just tell your heart kuti steady Dzikama. One way or the other, but right now, no pandiri, no space yandiri. So that's the reason I chose this one.
I love that. Yeah. It just resonated with me. I'm not a big Enzo Aisho fan. Some of his early songs, I just felt they were not my kind of music. But when I heard this, it was a pleasant surprise. And I was like, wow, this guy is actually versatile. This is quite different from his other songs. And I felt, I identified with the meaning as well. So it was one of those affirmatively disruptive songs for me, because I had a certain impression about Enzo Aishal, and he completely shattered it. And the fact that it kind of coincided with him announcing that he's retiring or resigning from music just gave it that emotional punch. So yeah, it's one of those songs I tend to listen to.
And did you listen rather to the interview that he had with KVG, where he was speaking really about the battle that he was going through?
Yes, I did. That was really moving.
It was.
Really moving. Yeah.
But unfortunately...
bright things ahead for him, and I also came across some of the things that are happening in his life. Nice. So I wish him all the best. I'm sure he's making this setback a setup for a comeback.
True. I like that. He was the number 3 today on Harare's Hottest, so he's doing very well with that one there. But unfortunately for him, this time around, Killer T takes it away. Nice one, Jonah. We'll catch up with you on the rebound. Wednesday again?
Excellent.
Nice one.
Thanks, Glenda. Bye for now.
Okay, bye-bye. So it's a big congratulations to Killer T, Moyo Wangu Dzikama, outclassing Enzo Aishal today. So the battle was between Jonah and I. Jonah had chosen Enzo, I had chosen Killer T. Thanks to those that voted. We'll be speaking about a few more people here that voted. But thank you so much for the love.
Dai waikwanisa kumirira nguva nekuti yako ichasvika nguva achikangano yakasika zuva kunze pakuchaedza kuchapisa pakuchadoka richanyura kwedu ichauyawo nguva yezhizha pamwe pacho mwoyo wangu chingokutsikana inini mwoyo wangu dzikama nekuti zvaunoda ndina ndangoti mwoyo wangu dzikama nekuti zvaunoda ndina inini mwoyo wangu dzikama nekuti zvaunoda ndina ndangoti mwoyo wangu dzikama nekuti zvaunoda ndina unoda kuti ndiite zvisingadiwe unoda kuti ndiite zvisingabvumiwi nekuti mwoyo wangu neruchiva asi ni mumwe wako handidi izvozvo unoda ndikutende nepo ini ndakazvarirwa kuva rumbo nekuti paunopinza pamwe pakaoma nenguva yononesa yato yakaoma inini mwoyo wangu dzikama nekuti zvaunoda ndina ndangoti mwoyo wangu dzikama nekuti zvaunoda ndina inini mwoyo wangu dzikama nekuti zvaunoda ndina ndangoti mwoyo wangu dzikama nekuti zvaunoda ndina.
11 minutes before 3 o'clock. If you just joined us, welcome to the last few minutes of The Pulse. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm your girl. Between 12 and 3, I get to take good care of you. Anzi, yeah, Jonah is right. And the toxic relationship is the factor between success and failure. A lot of people fail to make it because they hang around the wrong crew. And they want to hang out where they don't fit. Thank you so much for the insight, Jonah. Someone else coming through saying great insights from Jonah Mgoshi.